Declaration of conflict of interest. Everybody cool?
Yeah.
Approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Deputy Mayor Cody, seconded by Mayor Brown, that the agenda be approved as presented. Adoption of minutes of November 2nd, 2021. Moved by Councillor Cody, seconded by Mayor Brown, that the minutes be adopted. Business arising from those minutes. Everybody's cool? Reports. Human resource update report. Bethany?
You'll see occupational health and safety numbers attached there. A little slower month so far. We've had 11 first aid and AED trainings so far in December. You can see our year-to-date totals there. We've got 331 employee orientations, 3 contractors, 74 reportable incidents, only 1 lost time incident, ankle injury. That was in November there, since our last meeting. And you can see our year-to-date numbers are in the report.
Okay. We can move on then. Communications update, verbal report. Is that you, Isaac?
That's me. I'll keep it short on the verbal report. Very involved with the Christmas endeavors that are going on, media buys, communications planning, especially around the parade and other outside events. We're also working closely with sustainability right now. They have a few initiatives up and running. They've received some funding for. The mayor's annual report is nearing completion. That's being led more by Duncan Carley, and they're currently working to build some graphic banks from all departments. So if they haven't been in touch with the fine folks at HR, they will be shortly. As well, the communications department, we are setting meetings with every department so that we can do more forward planning, which is something that we really weren't able to do when we were only at 50% capacity. Just on various departmental initiatives that will be coming in the new year. So far, we've met with police, public works, sustainability, and finance, and we've scheduled meetings with planning and events/tourism downstairs. And finally, we're just doing a bit of an internal review of kind of communications best practices, just to make sure that the city communications is as effective as possible in using the right tools, differentiating things between PSA, which everybody is just an acronym that everybody loves around here. What is a PSA? What does it do? Council?
I'm so sorry.
Yep.
And
No sweat.
media advisories, things like that.
Do we have quorum at least
Yeah.
now?
We just started.
Okay,
We're right.
okay,
Verbal
thank you.
report.
Yeah,
What are these, yours? There we go.
wonderful.
I'll get it away.
All right, thank you for sitting for me, Mike. And again, my apologies for having you guys waiting. All right, so did you say we did the declarations?
Yeah, everything's done, right down to verbal.
Just finished the verbal communication report. Any questions, happy to take them, or we can move right into the vehicle decals, which, so essentially what it is the Environment Sustainability Department and the City Corporation has purchased 2 electric vehicles. This summer, they're for use by City Council, by staff, used for educational purposes and commercial initiatives. The overall budget of the purchase included costs for decaling of the 2 vehicles. So there is an example right now that is attached. Environment Sustainability, the department is asking for an exemption, if so required, from the Visual Identity and Standards Guide, which falls under the Communications Department, and all final designs would have to be approved by City's Communication Office and would still include the city's logo, which was one thing we stressed when these conversations started, that the only logo, because there is sometimes confusion between what is a logo, what is a supplementary graphic, what is a secondary logo. It was stressed that the logo for any vehicles, fleet vehicles, must be the City of Charlottetown corporate logo, which, as you'll see in the preliminary design that we received today, it is. Now, that said, I've already been CC'd on an email that this is not specifically the design that they will be going with, and they've gone back to the graphic designer to highlight what you'll find at the back of that package. Something a little cleaner, a little crisper, something along these lines, but obviously incorporating the city logo and city colors, as opposed to the very busy graphic that included streetscapes and skylines and just a lot of decal work. So I would, in my opinion, I would recommend that we permit this exemption. If we're going to exempt any type of fleet vehicles, I think ones that could be used for educational purposes, like electric vehicles, would be a good place to start. At the end of the day, all design work does have to be approved by the communications office. We are responsible for it. And I feel in working with the outside graphic designer that is currently working on this, as well as the folks in environment and sustainability, we can come up with something that respects the visual identity and logo and branding of the city, that also, demonstrates the fact that the city of Charlottetown is making investments in electrification and electrical vehicles throughout their fleet. So I'm happy to take any questions, and I do know that if necessary, Hamad, who's kind of leading this on the environment and sustainability front, is also able to answer questions if need be. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Isaac, how do you want the price of the cars?
That's more than I have. The budget for the vehicles, I believe, came through sustainability.
Has already paid for it, already here?
Yeah, I see them at back. I just wonder what the price is. What do we pay?
To do the lap on it?
No, to buy the vehicle.
Is it that much or 78,000 for the two? Because they're used vehicles. Pre-owned. We'll get
For
that.
40,000 each.
We'll get that from.
Okay, thank
I
you.
believe the budget, just anecdotally, the budget for wrapping or deckling was roughly $5,000.
Yeah, that's in the package.
Yeah, that's in the package.
I was just wondering what the cost of the vehicles.
I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
And Chip,
Yes.
I brought this up with Ahmad and I brought it up with Isaac. I know we had a lot of discussion about the corporate logo, which you see in front of you on the vehicle, that's one of the templates. But we had a lot of discussion about including the stamp that designates Charlottetown as the birthplace of the Federation. And I thought that was part of the logo, but Ahmad said that that's not part of the logo. And I know that I wanted to have Prince Edward Island, Ile de Prince Edward, we had to go through that change. Remember that? There was a number of changes. So, speaking to Isaac this morning, he believes that logo, that stamp is not part of the logo, but I thought it was part of the logo. And I know you won't find it in the identity policy because this came after that was released in 2018. I don't think that's been updated.
Yeah, this was amended, this is the copy I have, amended August of 2020.
Okay.
And this was brought up, and this is one of the pieces where I alluded to in my verbal report of some of the just internal review that we need to do in communications to ensure there's some consistency, because even within this document, there's some gray areas. So the City of Charlottetown logo, as I interpret it, is in fact the wave of the Canadian flag and the Charlottetown, or the secondary format includes the Great Things Happen Here. If you look at what Mayor Brown is referencing, the city and the birthplace of the Confederation stamp, it actually falls under what's called a supplementary graphic element. But again, here I get into the need for a bit of a review now. We're back to full complement communications. The title of this section is City of Charlottetown Supplementary Graphic Elements, but within the very next line is the creation of campaign logos in use. So are we creating campaign logos, or are we completing campaign supplementary graphics? Because it does allow for that confusion of what consists of the City of Charlottetown logo, or what is simply a secondary or supplementary graphic element. So the Birthplace of Confederation stamp, again, in my opinion, would be something that would be considered a supplementary graphic elements. And the only thing I would say is if we were to use the stamp on the electric vehicle, they become the only vehicles with those stampings, and then are we subject to permit that usage on other fleet vehicles or not? This is the design that was provided by Environment Sustainability.
Well, you could provide the same argument if we're taking the fleet policy, decal policy, and changing it because sustainability and environment want to add things to it. they're not following the policy either.
No, they are asking for the exemption.
Yeah.
I guess it
Good
just
point.
depends on what
Yeah.
it is that we as communications feel comfortable
Right.
with or permitting. This was the design of the package is what was incorporated by the graphic designer, which would include the waves with the Canadian, or the Maple Leaf, I should say, and then the city of Charlottetown. Generally speaking, it's likely just from what small amount of knowledge I have with wrapping vehicles, it's likely an easier decal to add on to a vehicle than a more detailed Birthplace of Confederation stamping. I don't know if it would affect costing or not. But I believe the request was made to the designer to use this graphic because it's what's been used on every other vehicle to date.
If I may, the use of it, city vehicles policy speaks only to the WAVE logo, just, that's the only other policy that would, other than the visual identity guide. And I just sent Ramona a text, your worship. They spent $71,000 for the 2 vehicles, and that includes the 10% tax.
That includes, we get that back to ITC.
But this is not now the final design, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
They have already sent back to the designer that this design, in their opinion and in my opinion, is far too busy and
disgusting.
takes away from the vehicle. What was included in the package are examples such as these, a little crisper city logo, city colors, and a bit of a back bumper graphic to highlight the fact that it is an electric vehicle placed somewhere near the EV notice in the back of the vehicle, which I believe this is, one of our vehicles is a Chevy Bolt. To give a bit of an example of what it might look like. So no, that is not the final design.
If I was in Summerside, I could see the windmills. Here in Charlottetown City, that we own or operate at the Summerside Electric Company. They do have solar panels, which we're promoting through the Switch program. I don't know if it includes windmills, but it does include solar panels and heat pumps. But
Yep.
sorry, Madam, you can just, on the logo, he's gonna do a review, but if you enter the city of Charlottetown via the Hillsborough Bridge, it's very clear. Welcome, bienvenue, Jalazi, Charlottetown, Birthplace of Confederation, Le Berceau de la Confédération, and then we did put the stamp on. So either we're gonna do it or not do it. So I would just ask ask for some reconsideration or.
So, Madam Chair, do you want this sent back and come back again? And we're just spinning round and round. If you want us to go back and redo it, so we know what we're actually going through.
Yeah, and if there's any other, personally, for me, I know that even prior to Isaac, the previous communications manager spent a lot of time trying to bring some consistent branding to the city. There was many other random logos that other departments had, and we've been trying to get rid of them. And in my opinion, I don't see this vehicle should be any different than the rest of the fleet. Sure, maybe put your electric information on the back that you want the community to know that we do have 2 electric vehicles, but I don't see any reason why this vehicle should look like any other of our city vehicles around town. That's just my 2 cents worth. From a branding perspective, we're all over the map. We still have SCORE going, and there's 4 or 5 other ones that, yeah.
There are a large number of various departmental graphics or
Right.
I don't want to say logos because they're not necessarily logos, but there are a lot out
Yeah.
there, which is a part of the review that we're looking to
So
kick off.
we'll take it back and we'll come back.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Jason?
Yeah.
Take it back, okay.
Madam Chair, excuse me, we were talking to Councillor Bernard on the phone about a half hour ago. He was going into a meeting with his boss. He said he would contact us when he got out if it was time. He said he's okay now, so Rory, do you want to call him?
Wonderful. Peter, it'd be interesting to know what other municipalities do. See, because most that I see, it's pretty consistent. It's one way.
Hey Gary, how you doing?
Hello.
Hi Gary.
Hello.
Good.
Hi, Terry.
How are you, Mr. Chair?
I was really late.
Oh, good.
No, not good. Okay.
That means you're behind the agenda.
Yeah. So I guess we can move on to the next,
Closed session, Madam Chair.
we'll move into closed session. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I have to leave at 2:10.
Okay, good stuff. All right. So we'll move into closed session.
Madam Chair, just interrupting the business, I didn't get, I was
Oh, I'm
late.
sorry.
I was late like you, so I couldn't get.
Okay. Is this
just
for
wanted-
closed or open?
It's open. Just
Okay.
follow up on the economic development officer. I did send an email out to ask where we're going with it. So I just want to keep that front and center so that we can, move forward. As I said, this is an opportunity not just for Charlottetown, but many municipalities across the country to reinvent their downtowns to accommodate for post-COVID-19.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bethany, that's under review, isn't it? You're
So-
reviewing
And
that?
then suggest it might fall with the recruitment update in the closed session.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
great. Would that be the same as the replacement for the city planner that we needed as well?
Yes, all of the recruitment updates will follow.
Wonderful.
Piece, I would say.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so any declarations of conflict?